it's kind of hard to believe sometimes that this is my 5th one of these. And the first one I ever did was on my 70th day in the district. And back then I talked about, how much we were struggling. We'd just come off of some pretty significant cuts. I'd just gotten here. There's some things a little bit over history. So we kind of laid out some data that kind of helped support why we were asking for Prop R. And then since then, kind of over the years, I've talked about a myriad of things and shown data on enrollment. And we've talked about, what it looks like that we see all these programs and opportunities for kids all over the country. And why can't our kids have similar program opportunities for them? And, we've talked about our past and going back to the first schools in the 1840s, and we've talked about school today, and we've talked about how, we kind of think there's a bright future for the district. And last year, I kind of talked about that we, as an organization, as we as individuals, are really the sum of our choices. So today is my 1,539th day in the district, and I'm doing this again. And tonight, I just want to talk about our strategic plan and Mehlville Listens. So I'm not going to talk for hopefully very long. And we've got the table set up outside, and we've got about 6 questions that we want people to respond to, kind of in small groups. And then our team will record those. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. So our strategic plan, kind of the timeline kind of around all of that, really started with some engagement in the fall of 2014 when Dr. Ritter was here as interim. And then in February of 2015, the board adopted a strategic plan. But we really didn't have any way to fund that thing. So when Prop R passed, we really moved into planning of how to implement these pieces. And then we had Prop A, as well to fund some HVAC and roofing projects. So we've just been marching along, working on implementing the plan. And we are in year 4 of the plan. Now that plan is built around 3 kind of big elements: student preparation, teacher support, and being an effective and efficient system. Now, within student preparation, there are kind of 3 pieces. I tend to think of them as a triangle, with the bottom of that triangle, or the base, being student engagement and all the work that we've done around student engagement. The second layer of that triangle is really all of the work that we've done around continuous classroom improvement. And then the top of that triangle has really been the innovation piece, right? So the innovation piece is the part that oftentimes gets lots of attention because that's the cool, kind of sexy stuff, right? But really the bulk of our work and the bulk of our investment has been in the base of that triangle and student engagement and the work that we've done around student engagement. So all of that then gets put onto this really massive spreadsheet that nobody can read because it's super duper small. We go over this spreadsheet with the board a few times a year, and it really allows us to plan across multiple dimensions for multiple years. So on this thing goes out about 10 years because that's how long our curriculum revision schedule and textbook adoption schedule is. So we know what that's going to be over the next 10 years. We know with some relative confidence what are some of the bigger facility projects that we need to do over that time. We've got a rough idea of what's happening financially over that time. We know when reassessment years are. We've got all of that stuff baked into that. And we know what are the innovative things that we may want to look at. Those really get moved and shifted up and down that calendar in terms of timeline. Some things we've been able to shift a little earlier, other things that we pushed off a little bit further, but it's also professional development for our staff. So it's all of this stuff, and we can see what are all the things that we've got going on in a single year, and is there too much? Do we need to push some stuff back? Are there things that maybe we can bring forward, and how does that work? So really, this whole spreadsheet just really helps us manage our energy and where we're going to focus energy and what we're going to do with that. So really, the management of that strategic plan is really how we allocate our energy across the district and where that looks like. So we've got these three elements of strategic plan. The first one is student preparation. So what have we been doing in that regard? Well, we've actually been doing quite a bit of work. We did a lot of work around our portrait of a graduate, and that continues to this day. Hopefully some of you may have picked up a little thing on portrait of a graduate as you came in. Like I mentioned earlier, we've done a lot around continuous classroom improvement. We've done a lot of work around what we've called our innovator models. We started with STEM innovators in our middle schools. Then we went to math innovators, kind of grades 2 through 8. And then we've done some high school innovator work, taking cadres of teachers and letting them kind of run with ideas and letting them take some risks and investing heavily in training and ongoing coaching for them. It's really made a difference in terms of student engagement. Then we've also just expanded opportunities for kids across the district, right? Mosaic is a new opportunity for elementary students. The middle school academies are new opportunities for 6th grade students this year. You know, we plan and hope to be able to move that up to 7th and 8th grade as this group of 6th graders move through and expand that idea. And then at the high school, you know, we started being involved in the CAPS program a few years ago. The CAPS program is about 7 or 8 districts that work together on that. We're the largest player in that cohort of districts. We have more students involved than anybody else in that. We've got MyPath, which we're in our 3rd year of MyPath now, so kids get to explore all kinds of things with MyPath. And then this year is our first year of our formal early college program, where students don't come here, they go to the Merrimack Bottom campus or the South County campus of St. Louis Community College all day. And if everything works and they stay on track, they'll be able to graduate high school with not only a diploma from us, but also an associate's degree. So some amazing opportunities that we've been able to expand for our kids. But, you know, it's fun to do all that stuff, but what's happening as a result? What are the results that we've gotten from that? Well, our results have been fairly positive, right? We've seen our MAP scores are trending upward. Our ACT scores are trending upward. We've seen growth and involvement in these programs and interest in these programs grow. You know, some of them are at their cap and we can't handle any more kids. Others, we can handle a little bit more growth. And as we look across the district and we talk to kids and we listen to kids, they're more engaged in what's going on. So those are all positive results, right? So we're seeing some good results of what's been happening. On the teacher support side, with funds from POP-R, we've been able to do a lot around professional development. I say focused professional development. Those innovator models are part of that. That continuous classroom improvement part is part of that. We've done work around Kagan strategies. But we've also started piloting in some areas some individualized professional development for teachers and what that looks like. You know, this is our 2nd year of a leader development program, not just for teachers, but for employees across the district so that we can build leadership capacity in our transportation department, in our custodial department, in our food service department, right? We've been able to create smaller class sizes at the elementary schools. Now, I say smaller, it's not like way smaller, but it's, you know, if we look across the district or the elementaries, the average class size is down about 1.5 to 2 over the last few years. And we've really been able to increase student supports. So the last few years, we've been able to add ELL support. We've added support for math. We've added support for social emotional learning and for kids who are really struggling. So we've been able to add all of those things. And we have been able to add a little bit in terms of compensation and benefits. Now, when most people think about benefits, they probably think about insurance. Let me tell you right now, our insurance is not that good. At least in my mind, it's not that good. I've had insurance in other places that is way better, right? Our insurance is not that good, but the last couple of years, we have been able to make some enhancements to that. So that's been helpful. Now, so what's been the results of all of this? Well, you know, it's kind of similar as a student preparation results, right? Better test scores trending upward, better ACT scores trending upward. Our kids are more engaged. Now, sometimes I go, I don't know where our turnover is relative to industry average. I learned the industry average a couple of weeks ago, and we're beating the industry average in terms of turnover. So that's a positive, right? But if we look at our compensation, we know that we are still behind our competitors, right? So if we look at just salary schedules compared to salary schedule, we know we're a little bit behind. But then we have to take into consideration that many of our employees have suffered through multiple pay freezes over the years. So it's even a little bit further behind. So that's something that we have to acknowledge and recognize in that compensation piece. Then on being effective and efficient, you know, kind of during Prop R campaign and stuff, people ask, you know, kind of going back a ways, people said, oh, you're wasting money in this way and that way. And we said, okay, tell us all the ways in which we're wasting money. And we looked at all of that list and we said, you know, some of these are accurate, some of these are not kind of accurate. So we implemented some of those ideas, right? And some of that's kind of worked, you know. We've done a lot around lighting and new HVAC systems that are a little bit more efficient. But one of the bigger things that we've done is really worked on systems and processes across the district, so that we're all kind of doing the same sorts of things in the same ways, and we can begin to use some economies of scale to do some things. And then as you saw in that big grid, we're really thinking across all of these functions to plan out for multiple years. And what that all has helped us do is, if we want to do a project, capital project, out into the future, right? So we're doing a major HVAC renovation at Hageman next year, like all new. Well, we really don't have the budget to take care of that and some other things in the same year, because we're going to do a big roofing project here as well. So what do? We know that when we want to do it, so we just start banking a little bit of money. Every year, do a little bit less so that we can go big. So we kind of save up and then spend down. We kind of save up and we spend down on some of those kind of items. So the results have been, we've gained some efficiencies, which has allowed us then to turn around and invest those funds in the classrooms, right? One of the ways that we've done that is be able to expand one-to-one, so that we're one-to-one K-12 now, right? We've been able to make capital improvements. We're no longer falling behind. We're not necessarily catching up, but we're no longer falling behind. We're spending significant money. We were spending about 25 cents a square foot to maintain our facilities. Now we're up close, not quite to $2 a square foot maintaining our facilities. So we're kind of getting there. We're still behind kind of in that regard. So what have we really been doing year 1, 2, 3, and 4 of our strategic plan? Well, we've just been focusing on reaching those goals and not always focusing on the obstacles. A lot of you know that I like to canoe and kayak. Well, in kayaking, you go where you're looking. So if you're looking at the rock, you hit the rock. If you look at the space that's open, you go through the open space. So if we focus on our goals, we can more readily attain our goals. Okay? So really, all we've done is we've just been working the plan. Just working the plan. Just putting our head down and working the plan. Now, that plan, though, is a 5-year plan. And we're kind of getting to the end of that plan, right? So we've been having conversation of, well, what is the next iteration? What does the next version of that plan look like? So we built in a process to renew a strategic plan. We talked about this with the board back in June, And that this year then would be a year of engagement and listening to help us determine what the next iteration of our strategic plan would be. So this year would be all about listening, and then next school year would be all about trying to put the plans together to make that work so that then we can implement. And we go into this 5-year cycle. So we just have this process to lay out that we continue to work forward. So that whole engagement process that we're doing this year is what we're calling Mehlville Listens. And it goes back to something I've said over and over again, and that is, this is the community schools. You tell us what you want in your schools, and we'll try to deliver that. So this whole year is about what is it that you want out of the future of your schools. We need to hear your voice so that we can figure out what our future is together and what it is. So we're really using this year to hear what the community wants out of its schools, and then it's the team here's job to figure out how we can deliver that and what we can deliver. Some things we might not be able to do, but maybe there are a couple of things that may be kind of big that if we focus in on those, maybe we can get those accomplished. All right, so this is just a year of gathering feedback, right? And we're going to take all that feedback. We've already done one thought exchange. We've got 2 more coming that are already planned. We may do some additionals, but we're just going to slowly narrow down those themes, right? And come up with what is the community's long-term vision? And then what are the little pieces that we need to put in place along the way so that we can get to that vision the community has for its schools? So it's just a process of how we're going to listen, right? Now, one of the things is that oftentimes around kids we say if you don't see it, you can't be it. So some of the times we don't know what's available. We don't know what's out there, right? So Mosaic, My Path, early college, the academies, all came from us seeing things in other districts and then trying to make it work within our context. So we're out there, we're looking to see what other districts are doing, what other schools are doing, because we can dream big if we're going to do something big, right? But we got to know what's available. We got to know what's possible. We got to think about what might be possible, because sometimes we're so gilded by our own experiences, we can't see out of our little world. So what else is out there and what's possible? So we got 4 community meetings throughout the year. 3 of those, we want to do a short presentation and listen specifically about those 3 big pieces of our strategic plan. And then hopefully by the end of the year, in that kind of overview, we'll be able to give, this is where we think we're heading, that we'll have listened all year and to go, these are the themes that are emerging, and this is where we think we want to go, all right? So I mentioned the thought exchange. We've done that. Actually, the results from the first thought exchange are on our website, right? Just Mehlville whatever / Mehlville Listens, okay? It's up there. So everybody can see what everybody was saying and what thoughts kind of emerged at the top. We've got the 4 community meetings planned I mentioned. We've also got some other things planned. At this point, our best guess is probably by Christmas, we'll have touched over 1,000 people face to face to get their feedback on what it is that we're looking at into the future. We're going to use our PTOs to gather feedback in PTO meetings. We use 60+ events, and we're doing building meetings with staffs as well. So we're just trying to accumulate all of this, and to see where we might head. Last year, I kind of said, I think our future is bright. I continue to think so, and I think our future is only limited by our own imagination. So if we don't want to dream big, we can't achieve big. But it's the community schools. We need to hear from the community what it wants for its schools in the future. And then it's up to our job to deliver. So, we want to hear from you. We got some tables set up out in the foyer. Our team has got some questions, about 6 questions they just want to ask. They're going to take down your responses. That's going to go with all of this other stuff that we're doing. Some of the questions may seem really, really weird. They all have a purpose. They're all intentional of what we're asking. Some people think I ask questions in one way to head it in a particular direction. I really have no idea where all of this is going to unfold. People may tell us that all of our schools should be built in the shape of pyramids. Maybe that's what they tell us. And then we got to try to figure out how to make that work. That's probably not what they're going to say, but if I asked a question to that effect, then everybody would think I wanted all of our schools to be like pyramids. So the questions are intentional, but they're just to elicit where people's thinking is on a variety of pieces. Okay? So the first question you're going to be asked, I want you to be thinking this as you walk back out into the foyer. And then as your table wraps up, you're free to go. I really do appreciate you coming. So, we've got this portrait of a graduate. And schools get the results that they were designed to get. We're designed to get the results that we're getting today. But if we want to get kids to those skills and attributes that we've outlined in a portrait of a graduate, then how might we redesign the entire concept of school to deliver that? Now, when we say redesign the concept of school, we're not talking about the design of an auditorium or a building or anything like that. It's the concept of school. How could that be redesigned to deliver kids who are good communicators and are persistent and are self-aware, are ethical and global citizens? All of those things. Okay? So thank you all for coming.